Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1772A, and today's date is January 22nd, 2019, and the title of the episode is Death to Globalism, Pompeo, New Winds Are Blowing Across the World. We all know the holidays are officially over, and millions of Americans, they've piled an enormous amount of credit card debt over the last couple of months. Now is the time to take control over your financial destiny. Trade Genius will show you how to make money in any market conditions. Here is a trade that made customers almost 13% profit in December on GDXJ. The Trade Genius signal notified a buy at 26 and a sell at 30. Right now through the winter season, you can save over 50% off their bundled specials, or use promo code WINTER for 45% off all non-bundled items. Check out TradeGeniusAcademy.com. Tell them X22 sent you. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we understand that the elite, they are meeting in Davos, Switzerland. And we know that Trump, he didn't attend because of the shutdown. Actually, when you see Trump with those individuals, they kind of mesh. Why? Because Trump is completely against globalism. The people that are attending the economic forum, they are for globalism, and they do believe they can control the world economy and make it do whatever they want to do and make themselves very, very wealthy in the process. The problem is, everything that they planned on and everything they thought was going to happen is not. They're trapped right now, along with the central bankers. And believe me, the central bankers are part of this also. What we're witnessing right now is the death of globalism. We're watching the deterioration of the world economy happen right in front of our eyes and the elite's eyes. And there's nothing they can do about it. They played their last hand in 2008, where the central banks were creating currency like crazy, made the elite very, very wealthy by pushing money in certain directions, pushing money into certain central banks, into certain individuals' hands. Well, that time is coming to an end. Their plan is not going to work. They are trapped right now, and they're trying to figure out a way around this. And while we watch the economy of the world deteriorate, Trump is using their weapon against them. But sooner or later, that will fail. So Trump is fighting against time. It is ticking down right now. And if we look out in Australia, we can see that the housing market in Australia is plunging. Sales of newly built detached houses in Australia, they plunged by 6.7% in December of 2018 from November. In the fourth quarter of 2018, sales plunged 14.9% compared to the fourth quarter in 2017. So here are the areas that are getting hit hard. Queensland, down 26.5%. New South Wales, down 18.8%. Victoria, down 10.9%. Western Australia, down 7.9%. South Australia, down 0.3%. So we're starting to see housing completely fall apart in these areas. Now, of course, they're blaming regulatory interventions. It's because we're going after mortgage fraud, and this is why we're seeing all of this. But once again, we need to understand the housing bubbles have been pumped up in these areas. Yes, mortgage fraud is part of it because they needed individuals to purchase these homes. We're actually seeing new mortgage commitments to investors in December plunge by 17.9% year over year. The housing market, not just in Australia, and it would make sense if it was just Australia. But we're seeing the same thing happen in the UK. We're seeing the same thing happen throughout Europe. We're seeing the same thing happen in Canada. We're seeing the same thing happen in the United States. And when you look at all this, you see it happening everywhere. Here in the United States, we see that existing home sales, they crashed in December. Now, they thought that it wasn't going to be that bad. They thought, well, maybe home sales would go up a little bit. But December existing home sales, they collapsed down 6.4%. And this does not look good. And here is the breakdown in the United States. The Midwest, we're seeing home sales, they fell by 11.2%. The Northeast, we're seeing that home sales have dropped by 6.8%. The South, we're seeing that the home sales have dropped by 5.4%. The West, we see it dipped by 1.9%. So we're starting to see a huge amount of weakness in the housing market around the world. And the housing market around the world, it was pumped up by the central bankers. It was pumped up into this gigantic bubble. And now it's about to pop. And as they raise rates, it's going to get worse and worse. And eventually what's going to happen is all the bubbles are going to pop across the world. And everyone is going to get hit. Why is this happening? Well, we know the global economy is slowing. We know that since 2008, they created this illusion to keep the system going long enough to get their event. Their plan has now been flushed down the toilet. Remember, the IMF, they lowered their global growth forecast. Doesn't mean that's what the GDP numbers are. That means they know that the global GDP numbers are going to be very, very low this time. We went over this yesterday where they showed the forecast, where we showed the forecast of the IMF going back to 2011. And the GDP, the actual GDP numbers, came in a lot lower. This time, they're going to come in a lot lower. What we're seeing is a decline in the global economy. This is not because of tariffs. This is not because of the stock market. This is because we are in a central bank illusionary economy. And they're trying to play this off that, it's someone else's fault. It isn't. This is why we've been following this. This is why we've been looking into this. This is why we've been recording everything the mainstream media, the IMF, the central banks, everything that they're not telling us. That's what we've been looking into. Now, we understand the elites are in Davos right now, and they're talking amongst each other, trying to figure out a way out of this, trying to understand why the numbers are slowing. They know exactly why the numbers are slowing. And they're trying to figure out, how do we get out of this mess? Well, as we know, the globalist system is being ripped apart by Trump and now other world leaders. The people are rising up. Now, M2 Madness tweeted out the following, and this has to do with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. And the tweet is as follows. This is the remarks via video conference to the World Economic Forum in Davos. He said, "You all know this. New winds are blowing across the world. The central question is this: do they signal fair weather or foreshadow a storm?" Now, this fits right into what Trump has said from the very beginning, what Q has said from the very beginning. A storm is coming. The winds have changed. Globalism is dead. And they are telling the world everything is about to change. Whenever we move into change, there's always chaos, because those individuals that don't want change, who want their system, they fight until the very end. And that's what we're seeing right now. The central bankers, the deep state, they are going to fight until the very end, until they lose. And you're going to see chaos because they're going to be pushing back everything at every turn, because they don't want their system to go away. They were making a huge amount of funds. They were getting ready to control the world completely. And now they see it's all going down the tubes. And they see the people are waking up. They see the people are starting to become aware of what their plans were. And people are starting to realize the system we're in right now, this central bank debt system, does not benefit the people. And with Q and Pompeo and Trump out there telling everyone that a storm is coming, this is the message that they're putting out there, letting the elite, the globalists, the central bankers, the deep state know that change is coming, and it is not in your favor. Now, Trump, the Patriots, they know there is only a certain amount of time until the entire system completely falls apart. And this is why Trump was out there saying that he has the magic wand, because he can keep it going up to a certain point. And once we reach that point, the whole thing just starts to fall apart and the magic wand will not work anymore. So what he's telling the deep state and the central bankers is that if you try to bring the economy down at any point, he will make it look like the economy is doing fantastically. And the statistical numbers that you depend on, the stock market, GDP, unemployment, they will not show that we're in a recession. The government will not report a recession. It will show that we're absolutely fine. Now, he knows, the Patriots know, that the economy is an illusion. They know most likely that we're in a recession right now. And the only thing that's keeping together is all this free money with allowing the corporations to borrow at very, very low interest rates. This is what's been keeping it all together. And of course, nobody signaled a recession during this whole period of time. So the deep state, the central bankers, are going to have a very difficult time trying to bring this economy down during the election period. Even though the mainstream media is out there saying, yes, 2020 is going to be the time frame where we're going to see this recession, I do believe that Trump is going to use the magic wand. The government numbers are not going to show that we're in a recession. Powell is going to go along with Trump. And everything that the deep state planned on for 2020, guess what? It's not going to work. And this is why we see other things happening now, where the deep state, the central bankers, are looking at their last resort type of scenario, because they realize he controls the magic wand, that this plan to bring down the economy and show that Trump destroyed the economy and have him ousted as president and have someone else come in might not work in 2020. Actually, it probably won't work at all. So they're going to the next level. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next report. So get prepared, get ready, because this is going to be some rough times ahead of us. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.